morning, guys. Hi, welcome back to Nailed It. Hope everyone is well. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming back for more. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning. The sun is shining, finally. And yeah, although I believe it is going to rain in the next hour. Sorry, for anyone listening, the date is the 16th of April. Yesterday, Monday the 15th. Did anyone have the joy of witnessing that weather? What the actual F is going on with this country? What in the global warming is going on? This is not spring. Spring has not sprung. It is just disastrous. It's chaos. Chaos is unfolded. Anyway, guys, I've got a hair in my mouth. Excusez-moi. Thank you for tuning back in, especially if you watched last week's episode. I've actually had quite a lot of positive feedback on last week's episode, given that I felt like it was probably one of my most chaotic ones. But nice to hear that people have enjoyed it for sure. So yeah, thank you for tuning back in. We have got this train back on track. The ship is sailing at full mast. I don't even know if that's a saying, but hey ho. We've got a great schedule lined up over the next few weeks. We've got today, which is going to be a Q&A episode. Today we're going to be reintroducing Nailed It for all those who may be new listeners or first time listeners, first time buyers. So we're going to be talking all about me. Shock horror there. It's basically just a big private story, isn't it? But we're going to be talking all about sort of Nailed It, the concept. I've had some really nice questions that I'm going to answer regarding why I started a podcast. Where did the name come from, etc., etc. So this week's episode is going to be a Q&A. Next week is going to be the importance of self-care, which I'm also looking forward to because it's something I'm quite basking in at the minute. I feel a little bit of a novice on it. Wait, not novice is inexperienced. I feel like the opposite of a novice. I feel like I've got some good game in the bag with that now, basically. Post-menti be. Hashtag. And then the following week, we're going to be talking about manifestation. Is it real? Does it work? What's my take on it? With the beautiful Miss Nicole Woof. If you're unsure who Nicole is, get yourself to Astrology 101, the first episode of the 101 series back in Feb. Good lord, that feels like such a long time ago. And then, yeah, followed by, which is an episode I'm really excited for, and it's probably the most different to any of the episodes I've covered on this podcast so far. I'm going to have the beautiful Beth Mills on, Beth Nasri. Need to remember that one. Beth Nasri is coming on, and she's going to be talking all about her journey in converting to Muslim. Now, I know positively jack shit about that side of things, apart from the snippets that I've pulled from Beth's life, and obviously I find it very interesting. I find her story interesting. I think you guys are going to absolutely love it. It's going to be question city, so feel free to write in and ask away. But yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to that, and long may the guests continue. We've got Beth Spargo planned for coming on, who is my phenomenal dance teacher. The list is endless. Pip Halliwell's going to be coming back, and we need a male guest. Men out there, male listeners. I'm going to guess it's a small percentage of you, albeit I'd like it to be a mixed bag. Male listeners, get on, get in touch. I want to speak to you. We need some diversity, clearly. I'm not swinging the bat in enough camps. So I'd like to get a male guest on as well. So if anyone knows anyone who would be interested, or if there's anyone listening who's interested, please tap me up. So, weekend recap, as we always do. What did we do this weekend? We did some gardening. Now, I've never been a green-fingered girly myself, right? But it's not just because of the nails. It's just not my forte. But oh my God. Now, we're only renting, me and the fella. I think I've covered that before. So we've not really done anything drastic in the house because ultimately it's not ours. We just put furniture in. We painted a couple of walls that were grey, to put it bluntly. And we've put our own spin on it. But a lot of it was neutral anyway, neutral carpets, things like that. So we didn't really have a lot to worry about. The garden was not maintained. It was a shitty. It genuinely looked, when you see renovation houses, when you look online, don't tell me that people aren't looking online at houses even when you're not buying them. Because I am going to be buying soon, but I look at this shit all the time. It's a disease, get well soon. But yeah, when you look at houses online and you see a house come up in a nice area and it's really cheap and you're like, oh, why? And then you look at the garden, everything inside's old and haggard. Then you look in the garden and you're like, okay, she's a big jobbing. that was kind of a little bit like this. And like I said, we weren't investing, big hard money in it. We're not putting decking our new patio down, but, bit of weed killer, couple of hours with the in-laws on Saturday morning, and we transformed it. It now looks a little bit bald. I wish I'd have taken a before picture. I'm going to try and dig one out on the pictures before we moved in. There was ivy everywhere. Christ! Ivy gets a bow. It's like the bloody local bike of the plant world. My God. And once you start, you can't stop. We were cutting and cutting. We filled up the full brown bin. Went at the tip. The full shebang, we really adulted on Saturday. That's how I felt. I felt like I got my big girl pants on. We tried a new tapas bar where we live in Bamber Bridge. 7 out of 10. Med 3. If you're ever perusing on Station Road, not that you probably will be because it's a bit of a dump, but Med 3. Decent. I've had hit and miss reviews. It was good for tea. We enjoyed and not badly priced. Sunday we went to Manchester Marathon. Oh my Lord. Spectating, of course, I was not participating. We all know that I barely got through a 6k. 5k, alright, the extra k was me running back to find home base. But yeah, the Manchester Marathon, oh my Lord. I've spectated my partner, he's ran a couple of half marathons. And it sounds stupid to say I wasn't as emotionally invested because I was invested in him running it. Do you know what I mean? But I'd watch him run a bit and then I'd go and sit and have a brew somewhere. With the Manchester Marathon, obviously it's a full marathon. There's a lot of people running it. It's obviously a big deal in the running world. Not that I would fucking know. It's not a club I partake in. But it's obviously a big deal. People had come from quite a distance to run it. So obviously, like when people enter for the London Marathon, I'm guessing. And I'm sure the Manchester one's not on the same scale. But it's the same distance, nevertheless. Manchester's the up-and-coming city, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Manchester is the new London. Everybody want to be here. It's better, obviously. Minus the weather. But anyway, so we went to the marathon. We was like, we actually dropped one of his friends off who was running it. So we watched him run past a couple of the checkpoints. Then we went over to the finish line. Now, number one, if you're ever thinking of going to the city centre when there's a marathon on, be prepared. It was Sergio. My God, you couldn't move for toffee. Outside at city centre, you were good to go. But that finish line, Old Trafford Cricket Ground. Oh my, it was worse than any concert I've ever been to there. It was crazy town. But the thing I found about the marathon, I even saw one of the girls who I went to school with, who was one of Annabelle's best friends, Caitlin. She ran past me and I was like, oh my God, Caitlin's there. People are amazing. That is genuinely what I drew from it. Don't get me wrong, quite a lot of people are on the running train at the minute. It's very popular. It's very in as a sport. And trust me, I'm only jealous because I've tried it and I'll probably still continue to try it. And I run a bit on the treadmill at the gym, and the runs I've been on, after them, I felt amazing. But when I'm doing it, I'm like, girly, I want to die. I think everyone has the niche in sport, don't they? My niche is definitely something along the lines of the gym or dancing, whereas, sorry, my phone's pinging away. It's popular. It's Finn telling me to put another wash on. But anyway, I would love running to be my sport, to be honest with you, because the way you feel after it, even when you're not an avid runner, is really, really, really good. It doesn't feel like when you've come back from a big gym session, you're like, oh, that were good, look at my gains. It's such a weird feeling. I can't explain it, but I think anyone who has run or does run will know what I'm talking about. And again, I am emotional, but I don't think I'm a big crier. I don't even think I was a big crier, and I'm not Javon, for a change. But I was just stood at the side. We were waiting for Alex to come running past us so we could be like, woo. And I was just watching people run past, and the guy that got me, ran past who appeared to have battled cancer in what he was wearing and what his clothes said and represented and all those sorts of things. And he ran past me and I just burst out crying, and the fella turned around and was like, "Yeah, right." And I was like, "No, yeah." I just found it really, really emotionally overwhelming, that people are actually going to go and run 26.2 miles. What the fuck? That's like driving That's nearly the drive to where I work, give or take. That's like my drive home from work along the M60. That's mental. And some people ran it barefoot. There were people dressed as the Flintstones who ran it barefoot. There was like obviously people dressed up. Someone ran past for like the Princess Trust dressed as a big pair of scissors with a tiara on, and I just kept crying. I was like, oh my god, these people are so amazing. And whether, regardless of your reason for getting into running, I think anyone that can run a marathon is fucking unbelievable. I think it's such a strength, and just watching it, I was like fully, I was in my feels, clearly. I'm clearly in my feels now. Yeah, I just thought it was amazing. And then by the time I'd been stood there crying for 20 minutes, Annabelle came around the corner and I was like, yay, crisis averted. Annabelle's here, let's trade some ADHD. She was with Isabel, it was a whole thing. It was a great time. And then I was like, right, we need to do something really mind-numbing now, like go to Selfridges, because I can't just stand here crying all day, I'm going to be a wreck. So we went and did some shopping instead. Did some birthday shopping for the boy, and it was all a thing. Oh my god, I can't wait to record next week's episode because I'll be able to tell you what I've planned as a surprise for his birthday. Because even though he's not caught up on my podcast episodes, it'll be sod's bastard law that he'll listen to this one and I'll tell you what I've got him as a surprise. But it's going to be lit. So yeah, we're in for a fun-filled weekend. He dragged his birthday out the exact same way as mine. We are no better than one another. It is a whole thing across 2 weekends. It's not even like, I say it's not a special birthday. I think every birthday is special. I'm big on birthdays. That is going to be a whole different episode of why I'm big on birthdays. And I don't actually know what my why is. I just know that I am. I'm big on my birthday. I'm big on anyone else's birthday. I love it. I love that people get a full day dedicated to themselves. Like, good. Play your main character shit, boys and girls. I'm here for it. A lot of people are not interested in birthday. They're not, it's just another day. Make it about you. It's another day about you. Come on. Presents, money, drinking, going out, seeing the girlies, seeing the boys. I don't know. I just really like them. Love a good birthday. Whenever it's coming up to someone's birthday, I'm like, what are we doing? And I'm just going to have a quiet one. I'm like, boo! Come on, let's do something. I love them. I don't know what it is. It's like heroin to me. Anyway, that is my weekend and a snippet of why I love birthdays. Let's get into this Q&A. I thought it'd be a lovely way, like I said earlier, to reintroduce Nayled It, and a nice little portion in my recording journey. Let's get some nice questions in, so let's get into it. Let's get into it. Okay. First one, probably the most appropriate one to start with. Why did you start a podcast? To be honest, it's something I toyed with Nicole, who, like I said, I've recorded an episode with, and she's coming on again in the next couple of weeks. There's something about us two when we sit down together and we talk and we have conversations, and we have very different views on a lot of things. Some similar, some different, but we're very good at channeling our energy and like our passion together, even if it's on 2 different topics. And I feel like we really have, I've got an itchy nose again, so it's going to look like I'm picking bogeys, but I'm not. But we just seem to have really good conversations together, and I feel like we ignite the fire in one another. You know, like when you finish each other's sentences and stuff like that, and you're like, and another thing. And we went through a phase, especially in between like the pandemic and the lockdowns and things like that, where we were seeing each other going for walks, and we were talking a lot. And like Nicole lives on her own. She was going through a big like situation herself. I was going through a lot of situations. Like obviously I was like 6 months post losing my dad, and we were just went through like a stage of having, I mean, all our conversations are great in my opinion, but went through a stage of having really like fulfilling, good, motivational, like on the soapbox conversation type things. And I'll never forget, she left my house this one day, and I in my old bedroom, I have a bedroom, a dressing room, and like an ensuite bathroom, so I've made it sound like I lived in Beverly Hills, but it was like a really nice little gaff in my mum's garden in the annex. And I remember I was actually sat having a wee, and I was like, we should so do a podcast. And it was before podcasting. Like, I wish we'd have started it then, because the journey to now would be so different. Like, who knows where we'd be. But, shit happens. Everything happens for a reason. I was talking to my mum about that yesterday. And you know what gets me about that saying? This is off topic, but like, it really bugs me that everything happens for a reason saying, because some things in life for me just have not happened for a good enough reason. Obviously, talking about my dad. But then, like, you look at other things that have happened off the back of, not that, but like other situations that have happened, and you're like, the reason, you have to look at it of that hasn't happened because of this. Like, there is something better out there for me. Now, there isn't a better dad out there for me. I'm not going to be, get adopted by someone better than my dad. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't exist. But there's definitely things that have happened off the back of that have made me who I am today. So whilst I don't perceive them to be like a reason, they are like spin-offs and now the outcome type thing. You know what I mean? Could have gone one or two ways. But then other times I look at things and be like, that actually happened for a reason. This fell through because of this. That didn't happen then because it was meant to happen then. So I feel like it's a swings and roundabouts thing. But anyway, I'm digressing. It's a saying that I like have a love-hate relationship with. So yeah, I'll never forget, I was sat on the toilet having a wee and I was like, I'm going to make a point of that next time I see her. Anyway, got up, started washing my hands and my phone rang and I was like, it was Nicole. I was like, I bet she's forgot something. And I was like, hello. She went, this is going to sound really weird. No, alright. I was like, you okay? She went, it's going to sound really weird. But would you be interested in starting a podcast? And I was literally like, no fucking kidding. No way have you just said that to me. Literally, you have just read my mind. And we was like, ooh. And anyway, and we talked about it, we planned it, we did a whole thing. And it never came off. Maybe I was meant to do it alone. Maybe it was just the right idea, wrong time, all them types of things. But oh my God, that is where the idea brewed from. And I toyed with it for a bit, and then it was one of the things we kept revisiting it every time we spoke. And we were like, oh, we need to sit down and do it, and we just never did. And then as that was probably back in 2021. And then as time went on, over the years, people just said, like, I'd be talking to people or I'd be in a group situation and we'd be chatting away and they'd be like, you should really start a podcast. Like, after you'd, like, told a funny story or something like that. And I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But more and more people started saying it. And then, like, a really pivotal moment for me was in May last year, I was on my way to our third dance comp of the season with the girls. And we was in such, like, a good place. We was all just vibing. Like, everyone danced amazingly at the comp, and we was all on, like, on the coach going to Telford. And I was, like, sat in the middle of the coach, and I was like, people at the back, people at the front, those in the middle. So I was just like, I like putting myself in the middle so I can talk to everyone. Because I'm a busybody, we know this, I'm like a meerkat. So, and I was just chatting away, and I was facing my dance teacher, and we were talking about all sorts of shit. And again, she turned around, she was like, Nelly, you really should do a podcast. And I was like, it is funny you say that, because a lot of people have said this to me. I said, and like, I am now starting to think I should go for it. She was like, what are you waiting for? And I was like, who would listen? And she was like, all of us. We would all listen. And I was like, is it about the listeners or is it just about enjoying the experience? And I was like, kind of both, really. But as long as you enjoy it, it doesn't fucking matter, does it? So I was like, right, okay. And then I probably got to think, like, on that coach all the way down. And then I was like, yeah. And I was like, what would I call it? Which was one of the biggest sticking points for me and Nicole. I think if me and Nicole would have got a name, we might have done it sooner. Remember, we even asked AI for name suggestions, and we just couldn't land on anything. And I couldn't for ages. And my dance teacher suggested Nayled Notes, and we had, like, nattering with Nailer and da-da-da. Because, so we've done, like, the Nailer thing. Like, it's funny because when I was younger growing up, I've always been Emmy to my mum and dad, and Grant at work, and absolutely nobody else for that matter, so don't even. But yeah, Emmy was like what my mum and dad would call me. I don't really know why, to be honest, but yeah. And that's EMI, not EMY. And Grant, who I work with, calls me Emmy, but everyone else calls me Emily if I'm in trouble, but M in the main. Or M Naylor. I'll get the whole, the conjoined name. But yeah, so I was really, we were struggling to land on a name, and then Naylor, like, so when I was younger, that's what I was trying to say. When I was younger, Naylor was what my brother was called. So my eldest brother was always referred to as Nailer by everyone who he played football with. Like, he would just Nailer, Nails, Nailer, that were it. So I was always Nailer's sister. That's who I've always been. I've always been Nailer's sister. Nailer's little sister, nevertheless, but Nailer's sister. So for me, when I then went into like dance and into like a team environment as well, mainly because there was three. There was an Emma, an Emily, and an M. So that Emma and Emily, like Ed and Eddie. They called me Nailer. So then it was Nailer, Emma, and Emily, right? Or Nailer, Emily, blah, 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 blah. So, and it was very confusing, but they've always stuck to calling me Nailer. So I was like, okay. And then it's kind of stuck. So everyone now who I dance with calls me Nailer. Fair play, that's like my name now. It's on the back of my jersey, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you know what? Quite like it. Suits me. Da, 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 da. So when I was putting out suggestions for my name, I actually put a survey out on my Instagram. A survey says, it's not fucking Family Fortunes. I put like a question thing on, basically saying, if I was to start a podcast, would anyone listen, in a nutshell? And I'm actually going to get the video up. I will reshare this because I remember when I made this video and I was so proud of myself. For research purposes, would you listen if I did a podcast? And it was like, absolutely, a million times yes, easiest yes ever, hell yeah, you were made for this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, guys, what am I going to call it? And Olivia Breeny, take a bow, she messaged me and said, what about Nailed It? And as soon as she said Nailed It, I thought, why did I not think of that myself? You know, when you have one of them moments, you're like, oh, bastard. I thought, that's fucking perfect. And that is where it was born from. So that is where my name came from. But that was the biggest thing that stopped me doing a podcast. Now, why I did it, just like talking shite, really. I like talking, obviously, we've learned this. And I like talking to people. And I just feel like I've got really interesting people around me in my life. Like, when I sit and actually deep with my friends and the people I know, I'm like, fucking hell, like, we're all such different characters. And I'm just like, sometimes I listen to them and I'm like, God, if we were all famous, we'd be really famous. I know it sounds really weird, but I'm like, we'd be interesting people. I was like, either that or I'm just small-minded and they're super interested to me. So I was like, fuck it, like, I don't care if no one listens to it. Like, I want to ask them more questions. And you could argue, you can just do that anyway. It's like, yeah, I can, but I think other people should get to hear it. Like, they've got interesting topics to talk about. They've lived interesting lives. They've done things differently. Like, I just like it. And I like giving advice as well, which is like where I'm still enjoying where this goes when people write in. Like, one of the questions I've got today in the Q&A, you know, I love giving advice. I love people coming to me for advice. Like, it's just something that I feel comfortable in that setting. So yeah, that's kind of why I started it. And I love podcasts. I'm listening to them all the time. At the minute, surprisingly, I'm really enjoying Logan Paul's podcast, mainly because he's interviewing wrestlers, and wrestling is not even a guilty pleasure. It is a pleasure. It is a pleasure of mine. I love wrestling. Always have done. Again, because of my brothers, from being a little whippersnapper, getting short slammed on the trampoline. Absolutely love wrestling. Watched WrestleMania a couple of weeks ago with my brother, and it was transformative. Wrestling is back. Prime WWE is back. If you don't know, get to know. If you were around in 2011, 12, 13, for John Cena, Randy Orton, even prime Dave Batista, it is back, minus Batista. Obviously, he is a movie star now. Triple H has full creative control, and it is just box office. So, anyway, I'm digressing, but I love wrestling. So I'm enjoying Logan Paul's podcast because he's interviewing a lot of wrestlers, and I just think it's so interesting. I love, like, when I start watching something or watch a film, series, anything like that, if I'm interested, I'm searching the fuck out of that person. Like, date of birth, time they were born, blood type, inside leg. Where did this idea come from? How did you grow up? I want to know it all. I want to know the full shebang. Love it. So I love podcasts that get into that. I'm listening to the Glee podcast because Glee's my favourite series. Shoot me. Don't care. That's not guilty either. It's fact. Glee literally revolutionised our culture and society and put people, it just did bits for the world. I am that person where every time I hear a song, I'm like, same bit. Season 1 to 3. part of season 4. 5 and 6, cancel. Not interested. Finish on the quarterback episode and then be done with it, which is what they should have done. But yeah, I'm listening to And That's What You Really Missed, which is Artie and Tina from Glee, or Kevin and Jenna. They are reviewing every episode. I love podcasts like that. I listen to The Office Ladies where they went through every episode because obviously they were on set. So they talk about how the episode was made, the directors, the decisions that were made, and then they pick out their favourite bits. And I just love shit like that. Anything like that. Basically just proves I'm a nerdy cat and I want to know it all the BTS. So yeah, love anything like that. Who else do I enjoy? Obviously the girls' bathroom. Love the girls' bathroom. Sophia and Chintzia, idols. Honestly, love them. Not into Steve Bartlett. Like Joe Rogan. Can get on board with Joe Rogan. Steve Bartlett, no. But I think it's because I don't believe in him as a person. I think if you're on board with the person, you could listen to him burp down a microphone and you'd be like, yeah, tick, sold. Like what most people do when Beyonce releases a new album, but sorry, Hannah, I know, you'll feel that one deeply. I digress. She's talented. She's unreal. But I don't think she's all that anymore. Just say. Anyway, so a lot of people told me to go for it, ultimately. I enjoy the context of it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's harder than I thought. Doing the podcast is harder than I thought. It's very time consuming. And sometimes to sit here and just talk, obviously you guys probably think I find it very easy, especially anyone who knows me, they're like, fucking hell, Nayled It can talk for hours. Yes, I can. We know this. But to actually sit, plug a mic in, put the camera on and sit and talk and make it interesting and contextual and things like that, that is quite difficult, to be fair, especially every single week to be consistent. And, I'm constantly worrying, am I going to run out of topics? Am I going to run out of this? Am I going to run out of that? And hopefully, I don't. Hopefully in 2 years, I'm not sitting down going, guys, what's it on the Instagram? This is it. Hopefully it just goes and goes and goes and goes. But you never know. You never know where life's going to take you. I might get in 2 years' time and be like, I can't fucking do this anymore. But while we're on it and it's good, we're vibing. So hopefully, in a very messy way, that answers why I started a podcast. What next? Why Nayled It, the name? Oh, I've answered that already. Sorry about that. But yeah, Olivia gave me the idea and I just felt like it worked. Obviously, I don't think it's the concept of me nailing it because I'm winging every single day, day in, day out. But I just thought it was a good name. I thought it was a great name, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, that's where the name came from. How's the curly hair journey going? Today, not great. Yeah, if you can see. I mean, some of the curls, my curls on top pop. My curls underneath do not pop. They're the ones, you can see, I've still got some straight, very minutely wavy bits coming through. Every day is different. The second day after hair wash day, I tend to find is the best day. So I washed my hair on Friday. On Saturday, I looked great. And then every day after that is just kind of a bit of a bugger's muddle. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I like it. It's quite hard because I'm quite scared to straighten or do my hair where I used to it, where it was curled at the ends. Because I'm scared that after all this hard work, I'll just I'll damage it basically. But I would like to wear my hair like that because it's been a while. It's been 4 months of this. And I love it. I love not putting heat on it. And it's a lot healthier and it's grown a lot. I am losing a lot of hair though. I when you're in the shower washing it, and I pulled a lot out and I was like, holy smokes, they say not putting heat on your hair is good, but I'm losing some hair. So yeah, it's going okay. I'm enjoying it and I think for the most part I'm going to be sticking with it in the main. But yeah, I do think, when am I getting my hair done? In a couple of weeks I'm getting it done. So when she dries it, she'll dry it in my old style, which will be nice. That'll be a nice little change. I can come home and my fella can feel like he's got a different girlfriend for a week because I know he likes something straighter, with straight hair or curled at the ends. So yeah, but yeah, every day is different. I would really like some lessons on styling my curly hair now. I've gotten quite used to this hairstyle, and I know you can follow TikToks and reels and stuff, but I'm just a little bit thick and shit with stuff like that. It's not my bag. So I would love some lessons in styling it. So if anyone out there has any, please drop us a line. Is starting a podcast hard? I always wanted to do it, but I don't know how or what to use. If it's just you on your own, I suppose I need to. What did we say? No. I'd need to know if it was just you or more than one of you. Now, when I first started, it was actually quite easy because I just bought a mic off Amazon. I use my iPhone camera. I'm still using my iPhone camera. It's serving a purpose. And I just kind of sat down and cracked on. I would definitely say, from experience, based on my earlier episodes, write notes beforehand. Have some like cue cards or pointers. Know what you're going to say to try and keep you on track. The other thing I would say is early on, like I definitely believe if you invest in your equipment, like you can all tell the difference in my audio from then and now. Why am I wobbling my mic around like it's a fucking weeble? I can tell the difference in my audio, and obviously the quality is phenomenal. It's so much better. But I would say if you're just starting out, a basic mic would be fine. Like it served its purpose for me 1000%. And you can find them on Amazon. I found the hardest bit was like going on YouTube and watching reviews, and it was either like, oh, basic, use an iPhone and a fucking £2 mic, or high tech, get this, get that, get the Sub-Zero, get the Shure mic, get this, get that, get a Canon X5 300, 400 horsepower. Like, do you know what I mean? It was two massive extremes and I definitely sit somewhere in the middle. So don't get me wrong, I have invested in some equipment and I spent like about £400 on it maybe, and it has been worth it. You still have to edit. The editing's probably like the longest part. And I think as well when, obviously if I really needed the toilet now and I went upstairs to the loo and I come back down, like I have to crop that out, and you're aligning your audio to your video and stuff like that. So it does definitely depend how many of you there are, and like you say, how much you're willing to invest in your equipment and things like that. Like in an ideal world, I'd be super rich, I'd hire a studio and someone would do all this for me. But it's not the case. I'm sat in my living room with my phone and a ring light and a mic plugged into my laptop. Do you know what I mean? I have to do it all myself. So it's very labour intensive, but I think it's great. I really enjoy it. I'd love to know what your podcast was going to be on. Just on your profile, I can kind of guess. But again, I'd like, give me more. And yeah, just go for it. And it's hard because it's like anything nowadays. Like it's a very saturated market. Like who's listening to me over the girls' bathroom? Probably not a lot of people that aren't my friends. But if you enjoy doing it, then do it. Like the minute you stop enjoying it and it becomes like a forced chore, then pack it in. But I think it's really fun, and you never know what could come of it. So I always think that take the punt. Who cares if it goes tits up? Like type of thing. So yeah. Harder than I thought, and it requires a bit of prep, but it's good. I enjoy it. I like it. Oh, the other thing I would say on your podcast thing is if you've got a name, go on GoDaddy and buy the rights to it. Definitely do that. And it'll like allow you to set up like an email address and things like that. It's pretty self-explanatory, or DM me if you want any more info on it, but go on there and buy your name and like what you want it to be. Do you still grieve your dad? I'm going to say this might be a really stupid question, but I just wanted to know where you were at in your grief journey. Right, fair enough. Yeah, every single day, literally not a day goes by. Like, not even where I don't think of him, but like he's genuinely with me 24/7. Like my body and soul. It has been 4.5 years. Literally bang on. Oh my, nearly to the day actually. Fuck. Wow, okay. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I still agree with my dad all the time. And I saw a really good post actually the other day. I'll put it in this week's dump. I've fallen off a bit with the photo dumps as well, I might add. I do apologise, I need to get stronger on that. But it was about how your grief doesn't get smaller. A lot of people say, like, oh, you just learn to live with it. That's bullshit. You don't learn to live with it, but I found when I hit, like, a low point in my grief, I found that the initial death is obviously sad. And it depends on the context and the circumstances as well. Like, it depends whether you are Like for me, my dad was poorly. It was a very fast, aggressive illness, but my dad was poorly. So it was like there was a little bit of a build up, some people just drop dead. So, do you know what I mean? Like everyone's situation technically is different. I I convinced myself that it wasn't going to happen when he was poorly, mainly because of the news I'd had from the doctors, but it was just like a coping mechanism. And then it happened and you're destroyed. And then people fuss around you for ages. I've got a whole episode on this as well, and in a few weeks' time I'm going to be having Hannah Jones on, who is also in the Dead Dad Club. Ladies Unite. Orphans Unite. Sorry, I can say it, you can't. We're going to be talking all about, the club you never wanted to be part of and things like that. And we're going to be getting into that. I've already got an episode called Grief, Death and Taxes. Go check that out. That was one of my much earlier episodes, to be fair. And it was a hard one to cover, but it felt very, Emily used this word at the time, and now I feel like I can actually say it, very cathartic. Is that it? Cathartic? Very like, to get it out there and say it and go through. I've never really, from A to Z, gone through that whole experience. So that episode actually did help me quite a bit, more than I realised at the time. Anyway, when it's first happened, like everyone will come round, everyone will message you, there'll be posts online, like it's kind of the natural stages of it, and it's more the aftermath for me. My grief really hit like about 6 months after, 4, 5, 6 months after, like in the early new year, and I just hit the fucking ground. Like I was devo, I was in the absolute bin. And I think as well, because so many things happened just after it, like on the 21st, we had Christmas, we had loads of birthdays, like there was so many other things to give you time and attention to, that you woke up in the morning and just functioned and you didn't really question it. And then the new year hit and I was like, wow, like this is rough. And I got to a point where like, I wasn't eating, I was hysterical all the time. Like I was barely functioning. And my mum saw a lot of that, to be fair, which then in turn impacted her grief and her journey. Obviously, like, she's the mum. Take the shit. I would if I had a kid. Do you know what I mean? Like, it happens, but, like, they then don't have their breakdown because you're breaking down type thing. So, there are all the things you reflect back on later on. And, like my mum, since I left home, has started grieving again in a different way because her distraction for so long was still having me and my brother at home. And then that all left. And it's like, oh, shit. Now it's just me and my thoughts. So, yeah, whereas I felt like at that time, because I was spiralling, I was like, I'm the only person that feels this bad. Why does no one else feel like this? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's when, like I say, I hit rock bottom, down in the dumps, I'm on the floor, and I got to a point where I was like, this is going one of two ways. I'm literally either going to check myself into a fucking nut house because I was feeling deranged with my emotions. It was so strange. Or I'm going to grab life by the bollocks and whilst still upset, grieving, etc., I'm not going to kill myself, basically, which is what I wanted to do. And I took that approach. And it sounds very dramatic to sit here casually and say, I wanted to kill myself. Like, no. Until you go through it, you won't understand that feeling. But you go very, very casual in your approach to life, in the sense of, like, I could probably step in front of a bus and take the hit because it would be easier than dealing with the complexities of grief and my emotions right now. I mean, thank God I didn't, because it hurt like a biatch, and then everyone else would have had to deal with it, and I would have been selfish. So anyway, the joys in life. But then you also start looking at the things of, like, the things you've got to live for, the things you enjoy, the thing that people do die, whether you wanted them to or not, and whether you expect them to or not, and blah, blah, blah. That is the natural cycle of life, albeit in them moments it didn't feel natural and it didn't feel like it was happening at the right time, obviously, and I still stand by that to this day. But yeah, and I learned to build my life around it, and the long way I'm getting to it is your grief doesn't get smaller, your life continues to grow around it. Like, I'm 4.5 years on from that point and my life is in a completely different place. And, you know, I've like worked really hard on my personal character, and how I process and channel my emotions. I'm still an aggressive little shit, but ultimately I'm nowhere near as emotional or, I'd say, explosive as what I used to be. I used to be really emotional, I did, like, but I was very angry forever and ever and ever. It felt like a lifetime. And I really appreciate, like, the people that stuck by me. Like, it put a lot of mainly my relationship, but it put a lot of my friendships through, like, a testing time as well. And they would probably say it didn't, but I think it did. And, like, my relationships with my mum, my brothers, like, just your opinion, you become so, like, narrow-minded to yourself. Because you kind of have to be put, like, that protective bubble up. And I think as well, like, you go one or two ways, you either all come together or you all fall apart. And we kind of all fell apart without my dad, and it reiterated how much of the glue of our family he was. And I was kind of like, I'm either gonna make a new recipe and become the glue myself, or I'm literally gonna fall off the wagon. And again, I'm glad I went down the road that I went down, because, you know, I did not fall off. Kind of a bit, but, you know, the wagon is still being driven by the nailers, and we're okay, we're surviving. And then other things start to happen, like babies are born and your family gets reconnected by different types of glue and stuff like that, and you have different reasons and purposes to be together and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm still grieving my dad. I grieve my dad every day, even when I was gardening on Saturday. And these are things I like even forget to tell Finn, but like, I was gardening on Saturday and I was just like, fucking hell, like my dad would have just done this like that. Like, obviously we had Chris and Jane helping us, which was the best thing ever. But, you know, when you're just looking at certain things, like we're looking to buy a house in the next few months, and like been looking at like renovations and stuff, and all I'm thinking is like, dad would have done this, dad would have done that, and it's so hard to not think about them, because these are the moments that they're missing. These are the moments where in everyday normal life you leaned on them and they were there. So yeah, think about them every day, miss them every day, reflect. My biggest thing, we actually drove past a pub about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I was like, have I ever took you there? And he went, yeah, we went with your mum and dad. And I was like, why did I forget that? And they brought the memory back. And obviously, don't get me wrong, your memory's not going to be like 100% all the time, but I do worry sometimes I'm going to forget things, and I really don't want to. And sometimes I'll see a picture of my dad and be like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in years. Like, because you did, that's why. But like, I haven't seen you in so long. Like, I forgot your face looks like that. And sometimes I'll look in the mirror, like, especially when I'm not makeup on, and I'm like, that's my dad's smile, that's my dad's cheek. Like, wow, he's here, but he's not. So yeah, very strange one. But am I? You haven't really got a choice to be like, it's one of them. Are you going to be sad every single day for the rest of your life? Which, like, low-key, deep down you are, but you learn to just not even mask it. Like, this isn't fake. I'm not fake happy. I am happy, but it doesn't eradicate the fact that I miss him and I love him and I wish he was here, and life is fucking shitter without him. Because even though life is amazing and life is good and I've got a great life, it's worse for him not being here. So yeah, that was long-winded. I apologise, but yeah, US. Oh, we got 2 breakup ones. Okay. Fresh out of a breakup, help. Have I got any context to this? Okay, no context. Cheers, girly. Help. Okay, well, I think I need a bit more context. So if you want to write in for next week's episode, that'd be great. So I can find you doing me a big favour. However, you're fresh out of a breakup, help. Okay, if we're looking at the grief of a relationship, very on brand. Cheers to you. Cheers to me for planning my structure. Fresh out of a breakup, get out. Get out of the house. Go outside. Explore. It's so cliche, but all the bog standard things literally do help you. See your pals. See your fam. Go and do some exercise. Start by building what you would probably call as distractions and turn them into hobbies. Turn them into frequencies and, you know, things that you do more than once. Get together with your pals, distract yourself, go and get the coffee, go on a shopping spree. that's another good thing. I think after a break, I mean, I love clearing out anyway. Do a clear out, do a wardrobe assessment, do a clear out, and then go shopping. Get it on Vinted, spend your Vinted pennies in Zara or wherever you like to buy your clothes. Go shopping. Retail therapy for me, I mean, I probably have a little bit of a problem with it, my partner would definitely say. But I would definitely clear out and go shopping. That's a great one. Do things on your own. I think doing things on your own are so healing. That's one of my forms of self-care, but I don't know if that's because I like my own company. But if I were you, I love nothing more sometimes than putting my headphones on and going shopping. It's great. Mainly because no one speaks to you. And sometimes I've just not got the social battery, believe it or not, to talk. But yeah, clear out, do a shop, clean your room, unless you have your own house, in which case clean your house. But I think cleaning your room is really good because you spend a lot of time in your room, especially if you live at home with your parents or with whoever. I think clean your room's a great start. Clean your room, have a declutter, go through your old drawers, makeup, socks, undies, PJs, declutter. That already, well, it'll just alleviate your mind. Number one, it'll distract you for a good few hours, but it'll alleviate your mind. Then do a restock, reinvent yourself. You don't have to come back like, I don't know, the Queen of Sheba. But, I always think in breakups, especially if it's the woman on the receiving end of it, women tend to rise like the phoenix from the ashes. Men tend to spiral. They go hard, go home for the first few months, and then they plateau. Women get all the emotion out early on, and then it's like, oh, you can tell she's fresh out of a breakup. Look at them titties, look at her legs and their dress. It's what we do. It's just kind of is. Yeah. Go and reinvent yourself. Go shopping. Do your thing. See your friends. Reconnect in your old relationships. I don't mean, go and tap up an ex. I mean, go and seek out your friends, seek out your loved ones, people you can trust and lean on, and yeah, prioritise yourself. The likelihood is, even if you're in a relationship that's 50-50 and you're not like maniacally obsessed with one another, you know what I mean? You still have your own lives. You've invested a lot of yourself in that other person, 9 times out of 10. So, rediscover yourself, put that time that you put in someone else into you and into other hobbies, and allow yourself to break as well. Allow yourself the emotional space and capacity to recover. I was actually talking about this with a friend not so long ago. It's quite hard when you're going through a breakup if no one else around you is or has recently, because it can definitely feel isolating and lonely. It feels like you're the only person. It feels like everyone around you is sickeningly in love when they're not. They're probably just in normal relationships. Like, obviously they love each other, but do you know what I mean? But everyone has been through a breakup at some point, and everyone has felt like that at some point. So you're not on your own, even if you're the only one going through it right now. And yeah, lean on people for advice. You don't have to air out your dirty laundry to, have a shoulder to cry on type of thing. So I would definitely suggest that. And go on a night out. It's definitely personal to you how you feel best about recovering. I don't believe that if you get under someone, you'll get over someone and things like that. I don't believe that works. I think if you try and deal with relationship breakups like that, especially when you're heavily invested emotionally, I think it will only represent itself later on down the line. And I think it's better to deal with it, even if you spend 6 months dealing with it, so that then you've actually got a fresh head for the rest of your time. Do you know what I mean? That'll be my advice. Oh, okay. Friendship breakups. Are they necessary? Do they hurt? Obviously hurt. Are friendship breakups necessary? I mean, I suppose it depends on you do it. You can outgrow people. You can 100% outgrow people and change. And I think that's one of the hardest things growing up and maintaining the same friends is that you do change. And you all either grow, it's the age-old thing. It's like relationships that start in school. You grow together or you grow apart. And that can happen in friendships as well as relationships. And I do believe that friendship breakups or fallouts can be worse than your relationship ones, because they say, your partners come and go, but your friends are for life. And that is kind of true. And your friends have probably seen you in such different stages of your life, good and bad. So, yeah, friendship breakups absolutely suck when they happen. But There's nothing to say that they aren't necessary. I suppose it depends on the situation. And it depends on how you handle it as well. It depends, you see friends fall out because she shagged her boyfriend and he did this and they're the volatile ones, but I think the harder conversations are the ones where like you love a friend but they've pissed you off. Do you know? I think sometimes it's harder to own them situations where like you got a mate but they've pissed you off or you don't agree with them, or do you know what I mean? Like where it's like I actually care about the friendship but I don't like that. You know what I mean? It's like, how do you have a conversation that doesn't result in a breakup, but you articulate your feelings? So they're the hard ones, I think. But yeah, for some people, I mean, again, I probably need more context into if that's a general question or you're going through a friendship breakup or you're thinking about it. It's all about how you handle it and how you articulate it. Are you interested in salvaging friendship at the end of this, or are you cutting ties? Are you cutting the cloth? How are you going about it? What do you want the end result to be? You should be able, in any friendship, to address your feelings without it resulting in a big old argument. And that comes from both sides. That comes from your delivery and how they receive information. You can have the nicest delivery in the world. If someone doesn't receive it or can't process that information in their brain, it might not go the way that you intend it to. That isn't necessarily a you problem. Everyone's got to take responsibility, especially at this big age, for their, capabilities and their reactions and how they process things. And I think that's a big thing. A lot of people say that they've got emotional intelligence and capacity, but then can't handle criticism, or not even criticism, but like a difference in opinions. And that I think, well, I'm not about that. I appreciate, even with my friends, not everyone's going to like every single thing I say, and that's absolutely fine. But tell me, address it. Like, I will own it. I will be like, yes, yeah, so that is absolutely A-okay. Not boot off at them. I'm like, well, I disagree with you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it depends. So yeah, I think it depends on why you're potentially breaking up with a friend and how you ultimately go about it. If you know you've gone about it in the best way, then you can go to sleep with both your eyes shut and no guilt. But I think the more invested you are in a friend, and again, the context is key. Just like communication and context are key. Yeah, it's all based off that, really. So, but yeah, I mean, you can go through friendships for a long period of time, and then a lot of it comes when you're 25. Let me tell you. Talk about the frontal lobe developing. That shit is true. That happens. The frontal lobe develops, and am I in my green era? I know we've talked about this before, but can we just? I follow a girl on Instagram. She's called Amira or Amzin. I can't remember her name. She's fucking beautiful. And she literally wears everything green, and I'm obsessed with her. I would really, really like to be her, to be honest. Anyway, yeah, I think if you articulate it in the right way, it doesn't have to be a friendship breakup, unless you want it to be. But yeah, I think it depends on the people you're dealing with. One thing I learned recently, one thing I've had to reinforce recently was knowing that different friends need communicating to in different ways. I think when you get used to being around the same people for a long period of time, or just being like relaxing yourself, you just kind of are who you are and you don't even think about it, which, to be fair, I think you should be that way in a friendship. Like, you shouldn't have to think about how you come across 24/7 with your proper friends. But at the same time, especially as you get older and you make more friends and people change and adapt, like, people do require, different approaches. So that's something I learned recently, which okay, day by day. Yeah, for sure. What else have we got in here? Plans. Gaily, I'm glad you asked. My summer plans. So, well, as we all know, it has been no secret that I think the British weather sucks dick for free. So I'm tapping out of that. Next weekend, I'm going to Dublin for the day. Is that count as a summer plan? Basically, I'm going to tell you all my holidays that I'm potentially doing. Summer plans. It depends when summer begins. But we're going to Dublin in a couple of weeks for a day trip. I'm actually going to book my first official solo trip. Now, I know I've done Australia and New Zealand, and that was all on my own. By the way, if you think I'm sitting weird, I've got a hot water bottle behind me. Like I said, the sun might be out, but it is brass monkeys, so I'm still using my hot water bottle. I love it. Yeah, I'm going to be booking a solo trip because I really want some time off work, and I'm not booking time off to sit in this country in this weather. Now, if I had a 10-bed house or a swimming pool or whatever, and I was a sunbed girly, I might consider it. But I'm none of those things. I want to go sit somewhere where it is 20 degrees plus with a pool and read. That's what I want to do. And I'm not booking time off to sit in this country. I'm just not doing it. I feel like it's a waste unless I've got things planned or the weather's decent. If the weather's decent, I'll sit here all day, but it's not. So, fuck it. So, when I get paid in a couple of weeks, I'm going to book a solo trip. Turkey, Canaries, whatever. Don't care. But I'm going away. I'm going on my jollies for 5 days in the sun, live, laugh, love. That'll be like the kickstart to my summer for me, I think. I've got a couple of dance competitions. That's part of the summer plans. I'm then going to Palma with Lucy. We're going for a little girls' trip, 5 days. I'm into booking Wednesday to Sunday trips. Sorry, guys, I've got the itchiest nose in the world and it's driving me bonkers. I must be using something on my face that makes it itch. But it's one of them, once you itch it once, it's like... Anyway. You know that clip's making it into the reel this week, 100%. So we're going for a little girls' trip. Yeah, I'm into the Wednesday to Sunday deals. Apparently Wednesday's the cheapest day to fly as well. Don't know if that's actually true, but hey-ho. I feel like for 3 days annual leave, you get 5 days break, sometimes 6 if you come back on the Monday. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just works. So yeah, going to Palma with Lucy, then me, Eve and Katie and Rory are going to Berlin for, that's Thursday to Sunday, so we're going for a little trip to Berlin. Then my big holiday this year, me and the boy are going to Italy. We're doing a 2-week road trip. We're going around like Rome, Naples, the Amalfi Coast, doing like Sorrento, Positano, Capri, Ischia, blah, 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 blah. We're going to Alpney now. And also in summer, we are hopefully going to be buying our house. So they are my summer plans. That is summer wrapped. I'm really looking forward to it. Hoping and praying that we get some half decent UK weather, but I've scattered some little trips in there. So they're not little trips, but you know what I mean? I've scattered some stuff in there so that I can just keep myself going. You know, I've got boost the melanin, get the vitamin C and D. You know, I'm sick of drinking Barocca. I want some fucking sun. Some fruit that's not been like grown in a factory. I just thrive. I thrive in summer in every way, shape and form. The weather, the clothes, the clobber, the everything. Everything about it is me. You know what's really weird? When I was younger, I was such a winter baby. I was like, my name is Raven, the heiress of Beth, Princess of Darkness. Do you remember that video? I was her. Like, jet black hair, icy pale skin, would not go outside, wouldn't wear anything other than black. Like, no, hated summer, hated. 6-week holidays, I would stay in all the time. Then I got a grip, basically. I got a life and some friends and splashed out, made it outside and realised the error of my ways. But yeah, and now we're just in the midst of global warming, so it's the middle of April and it's barely cracked the flags. I think me and my granddad counted it's something like 10 days of sun all year, which is ridiculous. But anyway, they are my summer plans and I'm really looking forward to it. Oh, this is the final one on the Q&A. Advice on starting your own business and taking a leap of faith. Oh, well, I mean, if I can compare it to anything, I would only compare it to starting the podcast and I would say just fucking do it. Get a plan in place. Know exactly what it is you want to do. Map it out. Don't go into it. You know, when you hear them stories, oh, I just did a design and it got picked up. Like, you know, that is luck. Have a proper plan in place. Now, I'm a sket for planning. I absolutely love it. Love everything about planning. So plan it. Plan it out meticulously. Iron out, you know, where you are, where you want to get to, are you going to do it, what the end goal is. And then just do it. Like I said, what is the worst that can happen in these things? I think I said it in last week's episode, like, try something and it's shit. You did it anyway. Do you know what I mean? You'd rather go to the grave knowing you tried it and it didn't hit off than having a what if. What ifs are just, I don't have the space for a what if unless it's literally like you physically can't attain it. You know, what if this, what if that? Like, no. Go and do it and then you can at least be like, oh, well, it didn't happen, but this is why it didn't happen. So I would absolutely go and rip the plaster off, grab life by the bollocks and go and do it. I'd love to know what the business is that you have in mind. So please let me know. You know who you are. But yeah, I would say just go and do it. What are you waiting for? Like, you're only ever going to get older, is how I think. You know, like, looks and things like that don't come into, but you're only ever going to get older. Time is not waiting around for you. Like, every single second, time is slipping away from you. So go and fucking do it. Do you know what I mean? You literally do not know what is around the corner. Whether that's in your personal life, your work life, your social life, your physical abilities, you don't have a Scooby-Doo. So for me, just go and get it done. If that don't kick you up the arse, I don't know what will. And that is it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of the above. Follow me on Instagram at Nayled It Podcast. Email me if you would like me to cover anything or you have any questions at emily@nailedit.co.uk. Join us next week for the importance of self-care. Looking forward to that one as well. That I was thinking this would be a short episode, but I've just had a look down. It's like an hour, so I'm a chat that down. But yeah, join us next week for the importance of self-care, and then we can get straight back into having the guests on board. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Every view and listen and like and follow literally means the goddamn world to me. So thank you so much. Stay with me. And I will see you all next week. Bye, guys.